So what do you guys aim to achieve with regular catch-ups with your staff?
I think getting staff's feedback on their well-being and how they're enjoying the job is very important. Obviously, you've got things that you need to achieve as an employer, you've got things that you need to achieve. However, having disgruntled and unhappy employees is going to affect your business quite adversely. So regular catch-up and making sure that they're happy and they're on the same page and fulfilling their requirements is important.
Perfect, fantastic. So you pretty much summed it up that giving feedback is an essential part of communication in the workplace. It builds trust, loyalty in your team, and works on the fact that most people want to do a good job.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so it's important to remember that feedback needs to be frequent and specific in order to be valuable. And I've just got a handout for you guys about how to give quality feedback in order to make it valuable, which is pretty much all the points that you've kind of mentioned there anyway. Now, has there ever been a time when you have offered feedback and you've had a staff member that hasn't quite agreed with what you have said and has gone ahead and lodged a dispute about what you have said?
Yeah, and I think that's why when giving feedback, it needs to be specific. It needs to have examples of the exact behaviour which maybe was the cause of the complaint in the first place. Because not all people appreciate feedback, whether it be good or bad. So I think it's important that whenever you are going to give some feedback which might be negative, you've got examples to back yourself up, and you've got exactly what happened, so that the person can then realise and process that you are obviously just trying to help them and give them feedback to make them better, but at least with your examples and everything you can show exactly what they did wrong.
Perfect, that's correct, because we're trying to get to a resolution, and resolving a problem is all about identifying a problem, finding or proposing a solution, and then implementing this so that the problem is resolved, which is what you were saying, having those problems that you can identify. And it comes down to communication, so that people problems, they can quickly be resolved quite quickly because the primary cause is usually the lack of communication or understanding, which is what you said. Perfect. So I've also got you guys a handout of just how to conduct dispute resolution properly, with a few steps and handy tips, which is what you sort of mentioned as well, just as a reminder there. Also, part of managing talent, we sometimes also have to manage employees that have had to leave the business for some reason or another, and you need to tie up those loose ends with the employee relationship. You also need to ensure that employees receive what they're legally entitled to. So I've also got a handout for you guys of how to support terminated employees in a legal and equitable manner. And my last one is just about how we record, access and store all these outcomes about performance management sessions and success and areas for improvement and how to do it legally. And I've got a handout for you guys there. Are you guys aware of what procedures are in place at your organisation to ensure employees' confidentiality to do with all these records? Because it varies between organisations.
Yeah, it all comes back to on the public drive that we use under staff. All of this stuff is readily available, and it's got pretty clearly what my employer's expectations are and what I need to do to fulfil my role, and also to be within the constraints of the company. So it's all very, very clearly laid out.
Perfect.
Yeah, and being a government organisation that I work for, I know that it's very need-to-know basis. So obviously the privacy of the people involved are the only people that know, and it doesn't need to be spread around the workplace or anything like that.
Exactly. Perfect. So it needs to remain confidential.
Yeah.
And they're just some steps for you guys to ensure that you're doing it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you learned something today.
Such an informative session.
Oh.
Thank you.